Okay. So can you see the screen with my mouse moving around?
Yes.
That's perfect. Okay. So what I'll do is a bit like last week, I'm going to send you a few links in the chat, which will be useful for you. So the first one, actually, I'll send them all together, then I'll explain them to you.
Okay.
Okay. So, right. So if I just send that to everyone. Right. So the 4 links. So one of them is just a link to Canva via my affiliate link in case you go for the paid version. And then the second one is a color code link. Now this is useful if because as I would have mentioned last week, when you first start using Canva, it's going to be a bit of a learning curve and you won't necessarily know how to do a lot of things. And because it's going to be a learning phase, I would generally say there's no point in paying for it in the beginning, but when you get a bit more comfortable with it, then it makes sense to get the paid version, because once you're familiar with the platform, everything you can do can be a lot quicker. So you will be able to do things twice as fast once you're comfortable with it than you would be with using these free sites. And so the purpose of this one is to get, if you're designing a flyer and you want something in blue or red or yellow and you want it to be an exact shade, that's the purpose of this one. So that's that site there. And then we've got another site. This one is pretty useful, like say if you're designing a flyer and you've got some pictures of people that you want to put in the flyer, but you don't want to have the background from the original picture. So this is another free tool that you can use to remove the background from a picture, which is also on Canva, but I don't think you can do it on the free version, so you have to have the paid version. So I'm going to give you an example. So let's just say that I click upload here, because that's going to be the starting point. So let's just say you have, I'm just going to slide this over to my other screen for a second. So let's just say you have, I'm going to get a picture of myself in this occasion. Okay. So let's just say that this is a picture that Ricardo took of me at, it's already done it. Yeah. So did you see that there was a background? Because that was taken in the hotel where we had one of our last big presentations for the travel business. And you see that as soon as I've uploaded it, it's deleted the background.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, isn't it? So let me do, and so I could then download it. But let's just say if I do that again, let's just say I went for another image, because that was pretty quick. And
very. It switched it real fast.
Yeah. Okay, so it's preparing it. Okay, this one's taking a little bit longer to do, but let's see what happens. Okay, yeah, that's uploading it. Okay, and you see it's done the same thing again. So it's done it all automatically.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's a pretty cool tool for editing images. So if I go to the Canva version, so if I just go to Canva, and as I said before, I'm more comfortable with the desktop version. So if I'm in, so you're saying that you want help on designing a flyer. So what you do, you click on design, and I can either type something to do with Instagram. So as you can see here, you've got some Instagram reel, Instagram post. But if I type flyer, and let's just say I click on flyer portrait mode. So if I click on that, and then automatically it's got the dimensions that would be used for a flyer. Okay. So from this flyer, let's just say if I just click on uploads. Now, because I've uploaded pictures already, I've already got a bunch of pictures in here. So if I just click on, I've got something here called projects. So you have the ability to create folders on your computer within Canva, sorry. So if I click on other people, so let's just say I selected, for example, Devon again. Okay, so these are all people that have some kind of connection with our travel business. So if I click on Devon, and what I like about the Canva version, although that was very quick, let me just show you what I mean. I click on edit photo, and then I click on this icon here, and then it removes the background. But let's just say that I didn't quite like what I was seeing, and I'd either, I wanted to edit that in some way. So what I have the ability to do within Canva, if I click on it again, I can fine tune it. So let's just say that imagine if Devon was bald, for example, and that wasn't his hair, but it was just something in the background. I can fine tune the size of this circle, and I can kind of like, I can mess around with it to get rid of the hair. You see what I mean? Yeah. Let's just imagine he was bald like me. So I'd just be doing that, and I'll be getting rid of the hair like that. Now, but let's just say that I did it really badly. I said, oh, oops, I made a mistake there. So then what I would do, I can click on restore, and I can use the same tool to actually restore part of an object. And I can even randomly, restore bits in the background as well. And then I would just click on back.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, so that's the extra flexibility that you get. And it's sometimes useful because sometimes, for example, you might have, for example, because what tends to happen when it removes the background, another thing it tends to do, let's just say you've got some kind of logo. I'm going to try and find something. Bear with me 1 second. You might have something like, 1 second. Okay, so
I'll give you an example. Welcome flyers, because that's what I was trying to do.
well, you mean welcome to Planet Marketing, you mean?
Yes. And you know how we do the welcome flyer and put their picture on there?
Okay, yeah. Okay, I'll show you that in a second, but let me just quickly show you what I was getting at. Oops, no, stop copy, it's paste. Right. So let's just say did that work? Paste. Right. So let's just say that I've got the Zoom logo and I wanted to remove the background. Let's just say that it was part of a picture. So if I do edit photo and then remover. Now, is that a good example? If I just change the background. Okay, actually that's worse. Okay, so that's not a good example. But what often happens is that if you have something and it's got white within the image, sometimes it will remove the white and show a transparent thing behind the lettering, which you don't want. But so then you would go into it, and then you would be able to restore the white here, which is sometimes made transparent mistakenly. But anyway, that's a bad example. Okay, so let's just say you want to do a flyer. Darlene, do you have a picture of someone who's joined Planet Marketing recently that I could do a really quick flyer, maybe? Or shall I just pick a random picture from my library?
Just take a picture from your library. We don't have nobody new just yet.
Okay, right. Okay, so let's just say that I'm starting from scratch. Okay, so now, because we're a travel business, you might say, oh, I want to do a welcome flyer and I want to do it with some kind of holiday type background. So what I could do is within Canva, I can go to elements and no, actually, I won't go to elements. I will go to background. Right, so I can go to background. Shall I do background or elements? Okay. Let me try elements first, okay? And let's just say I type something like beach. So beach background. So that's in keeping with what we do. Now, anything that's got that crown symbol, that's only available on the paid version. So let me just get something that's on the free version. So let's just say I wanted something like this. And I said, oh, that looks good. I want that to be the background of a flyer. So I can expand the image to fill up the design. I can drag it in all kinds of directions. So let's just say I make it something like this. You know, it's not going to be perfect, but it's just to give you a little bit of an idea of how it would work. So I've got a background, and okay, so what else would you like in it? So you want it to say welcome? Do you want it to say anything else?
Yeah, welcome to PlanNet.
Okay, so what I would do, I would go to text, and you see I've got the heading here, so I can click on that. Now, I have the ability to change the font. So maybe I'm thinking, it's okay, but I want something a little bit more interesting. So while the text is highlighted, I click on the top bit here and I can change the font. And you see I've got different type of, all kinds of font designs that I can use to make it more interesting, depending on what my taste is. So let's just say I chose this one here. And I can just type welcome to, I can type something like that. Okay. So, I always have the flexibility of adjusting the size. Now, I might be looking at that now thinking, yeah, okay, I've typed something, but you can't see it because the background is interfering with it. It's not very clear. So what people often would do is maybe change the color. Let me just go back. They might change the color. So let's just say I wanted to change it to, so you see here, I've got text color. Now, one good thing that you've got is that when you click on the text, in order to help you, you actually have the option of, you know, any image that's already in the picture. It gives you a bit like a color template, and you can use it to base some of the colors on that background that you've got, if you see what I mean. So let's just say I said to myself, okay, I want the lettering to match the blue, a shade of blue that's already in the image, or maybe to match one of the shades of the leaf here. So let's just say I clicked on that, and the color of the text, although you won't see it yet, when I click away from it, you see that it's a different color. But then you'd be,
Okay.
But then you'd be thinking, well, it's still not clear, but because it's based on the leaf, it's going to look good if only I can find some kind of background behind the lettering to highlight it better. So what I could do is I can highlight it, and then I've got a couple of different ways of doing it. So if I want, I can click on effects. And from effects, you would probably have seen this on a lot of people's flyer designs. I go to background, which is on the left of the screen now. And you see it's picked a color for us by default. So we can either go with that color, or we could go to the color and change it to something different. So let's just say, it's actually quite a nice combination there, but just for the sake of showing you, I can change it to, this shade of orange. So I could do that. Now, so I might think, okay, I like it, but I quite like the idea of still showing the beach background. So what I can actually do, I can actually go back into it, which is basically effects. So just to recap, when you have text, you have the toolbar at the top, you click on effects, and you've got a choice of different things that you can do. So I might say, yes, the orange is nice, but I want to see the background. So I can adjust the transparency of the orange to show some of the background. If you see that it's fading now. Or alternatively, I can even go to the background. So basically, whatever you click on to highlight, I can then, you see, say, if you see now, the frame of this flyer is now highlighted. And I can click here where it says transparency. And I can also fade the background as well, because maybe I don't want it to be fully solid. But you see it's turning pink because I've got pink in the background. So I can click on background again and maybe change the background to white. And then when I adjust the transparency, it's more of a kind of like cloudy look rather than having the pink shade behind it. So does that make sense? Anyone got any questions about that?
Thank you. That make a lot of sense. All I got to do is just play with it from that point on.
Yeah. Okay, so you've got that. So let's just say that, okay, so we've got the text, but we don't have any people in there yet. So I might, for example, so if I go back to my projects, and no one, does anyone look like they're on the beach? Okay, that looks a bit summery. Okay, so maybe I'm thinking, oh, okay, that's a great picture. It looks like she's on the beach, but I need to get rid of that background. So same thing again, with the photograph highlighted, I click edit photo. I click on background remover. And you see that it's removed the background. And, that looks pretty natural for this.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
So I can adjust it. Now, let's just say that I want to be a little bit of a show off. And let's just say I adjust it like that. But, oh, wait a minute, I've cut off the top of her head. But that doesn't matter, because what I can do is when you highlight something, you can then click here, which says position. And what you can do, because when you're creating an image, you may be pasting all kinds of different things on it. So what I can do, I can click forward, and then that puts her in front of that text. So I could show off a bit and maybe have it like that. So, just ever so slightly overlapping, or I could expand it like this. And what I could even do, if I want to show off a bit more, I've got another thing that I can do. So if I go to elements again, and I don't know if you can do this on the free version, but let me see. So if I go to, so within elements, if I type circle, circle frame. Now, so if I click circle frame, you see you've got these ones at the top that have kind of like the green and the cloudy thing in there. What that means is that you can insert part of an image into that to fit that frame. So let me show you what I mean. So that frame is now in the picture. And maybe I want to have her in a circle rather than in the beach. So what I can do is crop that picture slightly. And then I can drag the image into the frame. And then I have something like this, you see. So it's like, okay, actually, that's not actually how I'd actually normally do it, though. So let me just give an example. But you see what I mean? You see that she's actually within a circle, but that's probably not a perfect example. So
Yes.
let me
Almost
just,
look like you're walking on the beach.
yeah. let me just show you what I'm getting at. So let's just say I'm okay, yeah. Let me just make it a little bit clearer. So if I drag this down, okay, and can I change the color of that? I think I can. Let me just do this. Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. So you see that frame that I've got. Let's just say I change the color of that frame. So maybe I'll make it this color here. So when I've changed the color of that frame and then drag the image into it, you see now, right, it should. Sometimes it's a little bit fiddly and it can have a mind of its own. Okay, so it's not quite playing ball. Okay. But what it should do in theory, yeah, because I'm doing a live test, it's not behaving. So, but you can actually choose the color of that frame when you're, let me just go back. Let me try that again. And you see that also when you make a mistake, you can always click backwards and forwards if you see that. So I've got undo and I've got redo. So I always have the opportunity to play around with that. So what I can do, if I double click, that removes it from that frame. And if I want, I can, I don't want to delete it. Yeah, let me just copy it first. Copy, paste. So yeah, so what I can do, when I double click it, I can then delete it from that frame, and I can mess around with this again to try and figure out why that wasn't working. So let me just try that again. So if I highlight it, I go to the color, I choose a color. Let's see if it works this time. And I can then drag that object. And it should. It hasn't quite worked. Okay, yeah. Anyway, there's different ways of doing it, but you see that because I've already put that in a circle, you see that it's gone within that. And yeah, so yeah, that's okay. There's often different ways of doing something. So let's just say I'm happy with that. Another nice trick that I can do is, because you see that these are two different things at the moment because it wasn't linked with it. So what I mean by there's more than one way of doing something, what I can do, I can highlight, oh, let me just move that out of the way. I can highlight both the circle and the image. And when I've got a number of things highlighted, I can click on group. And what that does, it means that when I move it, it's moving everything together rather than me having to move them individually. So now what I can do is I can readjust this, put that back. And now I've got that frame like that. So it's just one way of, you can show off slightly with something. So I'm just giving you a sense of some of the different tools and tricks that you can use. So
Thank you.
yeah. Any questions? Anything else you want me to add to this to show you how I would normally do it?
Oh, I think I got it now once I do the replay.
Yeah. Oh, let me show you another thing. Yeah, this is quite cool. So let's just say you wanted to show off even more. So let's just say that I expand that, and you see that because I've grouped it, when I expand it, I don't have to worry about highlighting them individually. The whole thing is expanded. So if I just go to that, and let's just say I add some more text. So I can do a heading. So, and I can put her name. So let me make that capitals. Okay, so I've forgotten her surname. My bad. Oh, she'll hate me for that. Okay. So let's just say that I've got someone's full name, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, yes, that's fine. But because I've got a circle, that doesn't look right. It needs to blend much more naturally. So what I can do is, let's just say I want to highlight it in a slightly different way. So I can go back to effects, and I can, for example, I could give it an outline just to give it, to enhance the lettering so that you can see it more clearly. And another thing that I can do, I'm not sure, let's see if that works. Okay, so if I go back to effects, and I can go to curve, and I can create a curve, but you see that the curve doesn't match the size of this circle. So what I can do is, if I scroll down, and you see I can adjust the angle of the curve to match the curve of that circle. So I can just adjust it a bit so I can center it. And what I could also do, just as I did last time, if I highlight the name and all of this together, I can group it. And that means that anytime I move it, it moves everything together. You see what I mean? So that's one of the nice little tricks that you can do. So I can just mess around with that.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Yeah. And there's all kind of different things you can do. So I can
But Albert,
yeah.
You don't need to pay for that, isn't it?
So I said again?
You don't need to pay for that.
Right. So the way that if you have to pay for something is when you go to a particular feature, if it has a crown. So these bits here you don't have to pay for.
Yeah.
What you'd have to, because you don't see a symbol of a crown. What you'd have to pay for is, if I go to elements again. So you see, if I click on see all, so that circle that we did then, there's no picture of there's no tiny icon of a crown. So all of these little tools are free.
Great. Okay.
But if I was to go to, I'm trying to find something. Trying to find an example. Okay. Okay, so okay, say I wanted to give it like a gold ring, and so you see with these ones, most of them, I don't know if you can see it on the screen, most of them have a crown and it says Pro.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, so these wouldn't be available if you got the free version, but this one would. So let's just say I wanted to show off even more. I could, for example, add something like this. I said, oh yeah, that looks good. So I could create this ring around it. It's a bit tricky though, because you see it's overriding the other one, so that's not really a good example. but you see, so yeah, but you see that's overriding it, so that's not really a good example. But yeah, in theory, I could create a ring around that. Okay, yeah, actually no, I can do it. Okay, so let's just say I did that. You know, I'd have to play around with it. Okay, let me just try that. Adjust it. Oh, damn it. Yeah, it does that sometimes. There's another way of getting around it. So, but you see what I mean? So you've got all these different ways that you can experiment. Shall I show you how I'd get around that, or is that a bit too much information at once?
Yeah, show us.
Okay, so what I would potentially do is, once I've got, because I've got this, so, and just to give you a recap, the reason it keeps doing that, because this is kind of like a smart element where you insert another image into it. That's why when I put another image around it and try and manipulate it, it overwrites it. So what I could do is I can copy it. I can paste it into this blank thing here. And what I could do is right. Right, so I could do a little bit of a trick. I could, if I delete that, I can copy and paste as an ordinary image. So if I, oh yeah, if you're using Windows, Apple, Macs have their own version. I think it's either F3 or F4 on a Mac, but on a Windows machine, on a Windows PC, if you type snip, the snipping tool, and that's what I have as a shortcut. So if I click on snip, I can then click new, and I can highlight this image here. And then if I just move that out of the way, I can then paste this image, which is either going to be control, is it V? Let me just do that. No, it's not, it's control P. Yeah, so control P on my keyboard, or I can do right click the mouse and select paste. I then have this as an image, but it's no longer a smart image because it's a single object now, because I pasted it on my computer. So what I could do then is I can go back to edit photo, remove transparency. Oops. See, okay, that's a perfect example. See, I've removed the background, but you see that is done more than I want it to do. So that's a really good example. So what I can do here, I can get around it by going into it again. And instead of doing delete, I can do restore. And because it's a circle, I can cheat a bit. So I can make the circle really big. Okay, that doesn't quite work. Okay, I'm going to do it messy, but you get the principle. So what I can do is, if I do restore, that's going to restore the background. You see what I mean? Right, so I'm not going to do it perfectly because I'm just in a demonstration. So I can restore the background. Oops, like that. Yeah, so I've just did a messy restoration. I go back. I've now got that in the center. And you see that you've always got the line that can appear so you know when you're in the center. So that's equally left and right. And then if I go up, if I wanted it to be in the exact center of it, you'll see that another line will appear in the exact middle of the image. Okay, so if I just drag it here, I go back to the elements, and let's just say it always shows things that you've selected recently. So if I click on that, and I can then do that, and I don't keep getting it overriding the old image, and I can just resize it to exactly the size that I want. So I've got it how I want it. And if I wanted to, I could just make it a little bit neater. So if I go back to, okay, so what I could do, actually, this is perfect. So what I can do is I've got that there, but I want to highlight the image behind it, but this is in front. So what I can do, this gold ring is highlighted at the moment. I go to position, I click backwards, and that way I should now be able to highlight, is that the right one? Let's give it a go. If I edit photo, yeah, that's the right one. So what I could do, I could just improve it a little bit more. Oops, no, that's the wrong one. Restore. I can just improve it a little bit more. Like I said, I'm not going to make it perfect, but just to show you what just gives you an idea of the process that I use. And go to, go back. And then it looks just that little bit nicer. Right, so now you see this is overlapping the gold ring. So what I'd want to do is go to position and make it go backwards. And then that way I've got the gold ring in front again. Okay, yeah. So that gives you an idea. So, right, I think I've done 40 minutes, which is a bit too long. I normally like to do half an hour. So I don't want to give too much information in one session to information overload. So any questions about what I've just shown you?
Amazing. Thank you.
That's cool. Right.
Thank you.
Okay. So
Yes, thank you.
no problem. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll end the session, and yes, if I don't send you the recording by tomorrow, feel free to remind me because I'm terrible sometimes.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
Yes, yes, please. Thank you.
No problem. All right then.